Hello, everyone. Okay, we're back. We were having some serious technical difficulties. My voice was coming through like a scary monster from a horror movie. So please let me know how it sounds, if it sounds normal. Ben's giving me thumbs up. So I think I see thumbs up popping up. Okay, so let's just dive back in. I know my voice sounded kind of crazy, but let's jump into kind of where we left off. So we were talking about benzoyl peroxide today. And the question that I had for Alex is, what is benzoyl peroxide? How does it work? And why is it one of the best ingredients that you can use for acne?
Yes, so benzoyl peroxide, it is amazing for the treatment of acne. It's actually been around since the 20s. It's been used since 1929 in the medical industry for wounds and burns, but it's been used in the 60s or since the 60s as a tropical treatment for acne. And I guess not widely known within the skincare industry. There's actually only 5 ingredients that are FDA approved for the treatment of acne, and benzoyl peroxide is one of them. The other 5 are resorcinol monoacetate, salicylic acid, and sulfur. So some very similar, or not similar, some very familiar names in there for you as well. But BPO is one of those 5. It is FDA approved for the treatment of acne. So this is something that is highly regulated, very safe to use. But the reason why it's so good for acne is you have to go back a little bit to the acne formation process. So acne really stems from that retention hyperkeratosis. So within our hair follicle, there are excess layers of dead skin cells being trapped within this follicle. That, with the stickiness of oil, it gets trapped within the follicle and it creates the microcomedone, which is the beginning of all acne lesions. What benzoyl peroxide does, because not only is it a keratolytic, meaning it's going to go in there and exfoliate and break up all of that keratin buildup. It's also a bactericidal. So it's going to kill that C. acnes bacteria that's present within the follicle that leads to inflamed acne. So basically what BPO does is it stops the acne formation in its tracks and it allows that follicle to clear out. It helps get rid of all that built up dead skin cells. It's killing any bacteria that's trapped within that pore, and it stops that formation in its tracks. So it's very, very important to the clearing process itself. And it's something you have to be very consistent with to stay on top of your acne management.
Yeah, I think benzoyl peroxide is one of those ingredients that it's such an essential ingredient, especially in the face reality protocol. I know there's some people who are allergic to it, and we'll get to that later on the line, but majority of clients use Acne Med, and it's just key to getting clear. But specifically, they're using the face reality Acne Med, and you guys just reformulated it, and it's really amazing. It's really special. So I'd love for you to run us through what's different about this new Acne Med and what makes it different than a lot of Acne Meds or BPO products on the market.
Yeah, so I think little known about benzoyl peroxide is that it actually comes in powdered form. So that's why, even with our previous Acne Med formula and other benzoyl peroxides on the market, you get a little bit of that chalky kind of feeling to it. And with this, you may get some inconsistent particle sizes. So you may have particles that are seeping into the skin, no problem. You may have a little bit larger particle sizes that might be getting stuck in that like nasolabial fold area like that, causing some irritation, causing some hot spots. So you may have in the past experienced some redness, dryness, or irritation with it. What's really cool about the advanced Acne Med is that we're using micronized benzoyl peroxide. So it's a much smaller and much more consistent particle size so that benzoyl peroxide can dive down deeper into the pore, less impeded, and it's going to do a better job more quickly. In addition to switching from just, regular old benzoyl peroxide to this micronized benzoyl peroxide, we also added some hydrating and soothing ingredients. Those of you that have been around for a while, we have had our Acne Med in the lineup for almost 2 decades. It was great. It did its job. But it was just benzoyl peroxide and glycerin. So it worked great, but it wasn't anything to really get excited about or write home about. And people are still experiencing some of that irritation with it, even with going through the adaptive method. So we got the micronized benzoyl peroxide in, but we also added sodium hyaluronate, which is a form of hyaluronic acid. So it's going to help bind some of that hydration back into the skin. And we also added bisabolol. Bisabolol historically is derived from chamomile, and it's very soothing. It's a great anti-inflammatory. So Oh, sorry. So those are like the key three ingredients you'll see in that advanced acne med. So not only do we have a form of benzoyl peroxide that's just going to work better and faster for you, we also have those soothing and hydrating ingredients. So overall, this formula is going to be much less irritating and much less drying. For those of you who maybe have sensory issues and just didn't like how the acne med felt prior, I was one of those myself. I just didn't like how acne med felt, so I wasn't very consistent with it. But with this new advanced acne med formula, it's much smoother. It truly feels like that gel cream now. It feels very smooth. So those of you who maybe just didn't like the feel of the previous formulation, I highly recommend trying this one. It feels much, much better on the skin.
Yes. One of our employees here, actually, Hannah, she was like, I know I should be using Acne Med, but I don't like the texture. So she was the first person that I gave an advanced Acne Med to as soon as we got our hands on it. She came back the next day and she was like, oh my God, I'm so happy. It's so much better. I absolutely love it. So something that came up with this new advanced acne med, and then we've had quite a few clients reaching out to us, is that this new acne med can be used with moisturizer on top, which the old acne med, we said, no, don't do that. You're going to cancel it out. But now you can. However, we're finding that it's not right for all skin types and in every single situation. So I'd love to give us the down low on when is it appropriate to be putting a moisturizer, a creamy moisturizer on top of Acne Med, and when is it not such a good idea?
Yes, the addition of that moisturizer is something our acne experts and clients have been very excited about.
Mhm.
So happy to talk about that. So with our previous formula, we didn't want to do anything that was going to affect the efficacy of that benzoyl peroxide getting down into the follicle. Now that we have that micronized benzoyl peroxide, within 60 seconds, it's where it's need to be. So as long as you let that advanced acne med dry down, so at least 60 seconds, you can move forward with a moisturizer in the right cases. And by the right case, I mean someone who really needs a moisturizer, somebody who has dry skin and is just waking up in the morning and just is not liking the look and feel of their skin, having not used it the night prior. So this would really be someone who truly needs it. And I would say, honestly, get through your first 2 weeks of doing the time schedule, get settled into your routine, increasing your serum usage 2 weeks after that. And at that point, if your skin hasn't really normalized, you still don't like the look and feel of it, at that point, consider starting a moisturizer. I wouldn't recommend anyone to just start a moisturizer right away just because you can. For us as acne experts, we want to make sure your routine is working for you first before we throw anything extra in there. But with the sodium hyaluronate and the bisabolol, you can still use the Hydra Balance underneath it too. You can still use that Hydra Stack method. So there should, in theory, be plenty of hydration and moisture already in your routine. So I would just say give it a few weeks, make sure the routine is working. And if you're still struggling with dryness, at that point, consider adding your moisturizer
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yes, I love that point about using Hydro Balance underneath. That is such a key step. And every once in a while, I'll find the client is skipping that step or forgetting to do that step. And it's just so important to keeping your skin hydrated and nourished before you use the BPO. They're like a match made in heaven. They work beautifully together.
For those of you that have not tried Hydra Balance yet, this is something the Art of Skincare carries. It has sodium hyaluronate in it. It has Spin Trap, which is a really nice antioxidant. You have lilac stem cells in there, which are really good for overall sebum or oil balance in the skin. So this is an excellent hydrator to add to your routine, but especially if you're someone who sleeps in Acne Med overnight.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of irritation or dryness from Acne Med, we often get asked, or clients are looking for clarity on how can you tell if you're having an allergic reaction to Acne Med, or you just need to take it slower, do the timed method, and just be more gentle on your skin.
Yeah, so I would say if you're somebody who's just starting out with benzoyl peroxide, always follow that adaptive method. So your time schedule, wearing it, increasingly at longer periods of time over that 2 weeks. If you're someone who is, using benzoyl peroxide, and maybe like within a few days, you're starting to feel a little dry. With that dryness, you may see some redness, maybe even some itching. If you're a few days in, it's likely not going to be allergic reaction. You're probably just using a little bit too much. Maybe it's too high of a percentage, or maybe your routine is lacking some of those hydrating steps, like a Hydra Balance or Moisture Balance toner, but also have your Berry Balance Creamy Cleanser. So I would say really look at the full, or have your acne expert look at the full routine. Make sure you have that nice balance with plenty of hydration and moisture. Your true allergic reactions, we actually looked into a study because this is a question we get all the time too. I think it was out of like 400 people, I think it was like 0.5% of those people had a reaction, or like 2% of those people had a reaction. It's a very uncommon allergy. If you are having a true allergic reaction, this is something that would happen pretty quick. So it's not like over a couple of days of use as your skin has maybe gotten a little dry. Like immediately you'll experience likely some swelling, some stinging, burning, redness. If you are concerned of whether or not you have a BPO allergy, you can always do the patch test. So trying that within your inner arm for a couple of days. This is a nice sensitive spot. So as you're doing that patch test, if you are developing, a little red welt or any itching, irritation, anything like that, you may very well be allergic to benzoyl peroxide. But overall, it's a very uncommon allergy. Most people who think they're allergic to benzoyl peroxide just dry their skin out way too much with it, because once you start damaging your skin's barrier, you do start to see some redness and some itching, things that you're like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? Something is wrong. But oftentimes it just comes from not having that full balanced routine with plenty of hydration, moisture.
Yeah, I know that I've seen some clients who have been on like, BPO products from Target. So they're using like a BPO cleanser, a salicylic
Mhm.
acid serum, and then they're putting more BPO on top of that. And then they're like, BPO, I'm allergic to it, but it really, they were just overdoing it. And the other reaction that I'll sometimes see is someone says, oh, my eyes swelled up and got red. That must be an allergic reaction. But that could be that you're just putting that acne med too close to the eyes and it's traveling up into your eye area. So,
A great point. With your benzoyl peroxide, avoid the entire orbital area. So not above your cheekbones, not below the brow bone. Also, don't get it on your lower neck. This is also another sensitive area that may react. Something really important to note, that if you are sleeping in your benzoyl peroxide, do not pair it with an eye cream. The eye cream is going to pull that benzoyl peroxide into that eye area. So you would want to go with something like an eye gel instead if you're sleeping in it overnight.
yeah, great tip. So another myth that I see a lot is that you can just spot treat with acne med and using it only on active pimples and that will clear your acne. And I know why that is not so good, but I'd love for you to kind of speak on that and why acne med really needs to be used all over the acne prone area.
Yeah, so with acne, you have some great spot treatments. Sulfur makes a great spot treatment. Benzoyl peroxide is a great spot treatment because it's anti-inflammatory and keratolytic, but it's really just going to affect that one little spot you're putting it on. Benzoyl peroxide works best as a preventative, so preventing those acne lesions from forming in the first place. So that would be using on the entire affected area. So if you're someone who is experiencing acne on the face, you're going to use acne med on your entire face, and that's going to address that retention hyperkeratosis that is that beginning of all acne. So that benzoyl peroxide all over the face is going to be exfoliating within the follicle, clearing those follicles out, killing the C. acnes bacteria trapped within those follicles. So it can truly work as that preventative product. It's marketed a lot as a spot treatment because it is a great anti-inflammatory, but it works even better as a preventative. So you can either treat one spot at a time, or you can prevent all of those spots. So it's really up to you. But sulfur is another great spot treatment.
Yes. Yeah, I want to touch on the sulfur spot treatment real quick because some people are like, do I need both? Do I need one or the other? And I think the sulfur spot is just incredible for treating that already active inflamed pimple and you want it to heal nicely. You want to soothe that skin and that inflammation. And then acne med, yeah, that's your full tool that is preventing and treating. So it is kind of helpful to have both.
Yeah, honestly, great use case here. So we were just traveling in Las Vegas for that trade show. So my night routine, I'm going to do acne med all over, but because of, the travel, the different weather, different water, my diet wasn't great while we were traveling. I got a couple inflamed lesions pop up. So where I have acne med everywhere, I would go over this little guy here and I would dab some sulfur spot on this one individually. So it's great to have both on hand. But even if you're someone who maybe you don't need to use benzoyl peroxide in your normal everyday routine, maybe you just have mild acne, more often than not, whether it's around your menstrual cycle, while you're traveling, during the holidays, everyone gets that big inflamed breakout when it's the least opportune time.
Yes.
So it's always helpful to have that sulfur spot treatment. Something I do not travel without. It lives in my makeup bag just in case.
Yep. I always have sulfur spot when I travel because I just always get travel pimples. I don't know what it is. It's the stress of moving around the continent or whatever it is, but it's brutal. Okay, so I actually got this question recently, so I wanted to bring it to you. I had a client who felt like their acne med was kind of drying them out when they were using it every single night. So they're
Mhm.
wondering if they could bump up to a stronger acne med, but only use it every other day or a couple days a week. And
Got it.
I was like, that's an interesting idea. Like, I guess that's a creative solution, but I think so my guess was it would be better to use the lower amount and using it every day to keep that bacteria from flourishing and the hyperkeratosis. But maybe you could build on that. What would you do in that situation for that client?
Honestly, A for effort for creativity. It's a really good line of thinking. But when it comes to acne and benzoyl peroxide, you have to be consistent on a daily basis. So it would be better to stay on the lower percentage to be able to use that every single day. If you're someone who you're still experiencing some dryness or dehydration with this, I'd really just look at your full routine. Oftentimes, we love to stack as many active steps as we can. So if you're pairing it with something like a Mandelic wash or a Sal C toner, you have your hydrating counterparts instead. So you can do your Berry Bounce Creamy Cleanser, a Moisture Balance Toner, really using those supportive products to keep your skin healthy so that you can use something like a advanced acne med every single day.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, because you need to be using your correctives daily. So what changes can you make in your routine so that your correctives can do the work that they need to do? If the rest of your routine is drying you out, get those nourishers in there, and then you can use your serums and products every single night. So, speaking of routines, are there any ingredients or serums that you should not be using at the same time as your BPO or in the same routine?
Great question. So there's nothing that's a direct contraindication to use in the same routine. It's more of a time restraint. So we do have some time restraints. So if you are someone who is using a retinol B3 or the retinol peptide or any of other of Art of Skincare's retinol products, once you apply that in the evening, you need to wait 15 minutes before applying the benzoyl peroxide, just because we don't want any interaction there. They can still be used in that same routine, no problem. You'll just have to wait that little bit of extra time in between applications. Otherwise, you're okay.
Cool. Good to know. So I'd love to turn it over. We've probably had some questions come through. So I'm going to have Ben hand me the phone. We have any questions over there, Ben? Okay. So if you guys have any questions for Alex or for please start putting them in the chat. Looks like we have a few that we can answer here. Okay. And also, thank you guys so much for your patience with our technical difficulties there at the beginning. Okay. So Megan asks, I've had a lot more redness and flaking from the new 2.5% advanced acne med. Is this something you all have experienced all? I've been waiting 15 minutes and adding a moisturizer.
Yeah, so waiting the 15 minutes, adding the moisturizer is totally fine. I'll do you one better. You just have to wait the 60 seconds before applying so you can simplify your routine a bit. But it's not something we've experienced just because this routine or this formula should be so much more soothing and hydrating. We haven't had any of those mixed reactions with that anymore. It's definitely something we saw with our previous formulation. But again, I would just reevaluate. We're also heading into the summer. That could be a huge indicator. When did we launch this? We launched this in March. So we're heading, into the warmer months. Now we're getting into the real warmer months. So that could be a contributing factor as well. And maybe something that you can go down a percentage on, and maybe something to reevaluate those supportive products, add the Hydro Balance, Hydro Stack, Moisture Balance Toner. So again, kind of a harder answer, but I would just look at your full routine and double check that. But it's not something experience. We're real excited about the new
Yeah.
formulation.
Yeah, I can confirm that too. I have yet to have anyone have an adverse reaction or negative reaction to the new acne med. So yeah, Megan, I would look into what other products you're using. Even if you didn't make any other big changes in your routine around that time, obviously, yeah, it's summer, and our hormones can also make our skin more sensitive during certain times of the year.
Mhm.
So a lot of things to look at on that topic. So Emma wants to know, is face reality suitable for rosacea?
Yeah, so subtype 1 rosacea, we can make a bit of a change with. Really, with your rosacea, you want to really nourish the skin, protect the barrier, use hydrators, moisturizers. A zinc sunscreen is a great option. If you're experiencing subtype 2 rosacea, so the regular rosacea, but you get the papules and pustules in the cheek, chin, forehead area, we have exact protocols for that. But for your subtype 1 rosacea, you can build out a routine. I'd likely recommend the Barrier Balance Creamy Cleanser, Moisture Balance Toner. I would still recommend a salicylic acid. Our salicylic plus is 2% salicylic acid, 2% lactic, and 2% of an azelaic derivative. So it'd be beautiful overall inflammation. You can go in with your, maybe you could do clear derma or crayon peptide, but I would definitely go for the mineral matte SPF 28 that has just under or just over 12% zinc. That zinc is a great anti-inflammatory. It's going to soothe that redness. You can definitely put together a routine for subtype 1, but we for sure have a protocol for subtype 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. So Sarah's wanting to know how best to heal the skin barrier. And there are a few really great products for the skin barrier from Face Reality, but specifically the Barrier Balance Creamy Cleanser is a very unique creamy cleanser in that it's completely acne safe and it has specific ingredients that are boosting your moisture barrier. So Alex, if you want to speak on that cleanser and maybe what other products that you always recommend when people are having problems with their moisture barrier.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that, quick shout out. Barry Round's Creamy Cleanser actually just won an award this past weekend. So it is
Yes.
not an award cleanser, which is super exciting. But for your barrier, this is something where you want to think only about nourishing and protecting the skin. So using different hydrating products, which are going to be more water-based, your moisturizing products, which will be more cream-based, of course, your SPF. So the Barrier Balance Creamy Cleanser is an excellent addition. This is something we don't talk a lot about as estheticians, but along with our skin barrier, we have a skin microbiome as well. They really go hand in hand. So in this Barrier Balance Creamy Cleanser, we have inulin, which is going to be a prebiotic. So basically what prebiotics do when applied topically is they feed that good bacteria that's on our skin, or those commensals. It feeds that bacteria so that they can flourish and remain healthy. You're also going to get things like Centella asiatica, which is really big in Korean skincare. Korean skincare is all about barrier health, that glass skin. So we have some Centella asiatica in there. We have other emollients such as jojoba esters, which are really good for nourishing the skin. But that would be a great way to kick off the routine. Barrier Balance Creamy Cleanser, following up with my hands down favorite toner, Moisture Balance Toner. It is a drink of water for the skin. If you're someone that's experiencing like that tightness after you cleanse, that Moisture Balance Toner is like a magic eraser for that feeling. So pairing those two together is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would also go, this is optional, but you could also do something like the antioxidant peptide serum. Antioxidant peptides are both great for the overall health and integrity of the skin. Of course, your cream-based moisturizer as well. That could be Clear Derma or Cran Peptide Cream. Clear Derma is going to be a little bit more on the light side. Cran Peptide is definitely the heavier of those two moisturizers. And then with sunscreen, you could go one of two ways. If you're really on the dry side and you're not too sensitive, I would absolutely go with the daily SPF 30 lotion. This is going to feel much more rich. It has kukui nut oil, macadamia nut oil, so it's very nourishing. But sometimes when our barrier is impaired, we do get sensitive to sunscreen. So if you are someone whose barrier is impaired and you're experiencing sensitivity, I would switch gears and go towards that mineral matte SPF 28. This is going to be your mineral physical sunscreen. It's going to be that zinc. So again, very soothing and anti-inflammatory. But there's a lot you can do. Also internally as well, we have our clear skin supplements, I would definitely go with the Clear Skin Balance if you had to choose one. But if you only had to choose one, the Clear Skin Balance is going to be great. It has those omega-3 fatty acids, which are going to help with not only oil production, but oil quality. Make sure the oil on our skin is just more in abundance, but also it has a better quality to it as well to keep that skin hydrated and moisturized.
I love it.
Lots of options.
Yes, lots of lovely soothing products. Okay, so Olivia's wondering, she has more closed comedones than inflamed acne, about a 70% closed comedone to about 30% inflamed acne. Does BPO help with closed comedones as well?
This is a great question. I've seen a lot recently that people are only using benzoyl peroxide for inflamed acne, but inflamed and non-inflamed acne all start the same way. They all start with that retention hyperkeratosis. So your benzoyl peroxide is going to be beneficial for both inflamed and non-inflamed acne. So it's very important to still incorporate it into your routine. Since you're experiencing more non-inflamed than inflamed, that might change your exfoliating acid, your serum. So maybe instead of a mandelic, you'll do better with a salicylic acid, but otherwise benzoyl peroxide will still stay in the mix.
Mm-hmm. Yep, in my experience as well, BPO works really well in non-inflamed acne and closed comedones.
Great questions.
Okay. Ooh, this is a good question. I don't know if I've ever done this myself. Are you able to do the Hydro Balance stacks, like the Hydro Balance sandwich with Acne Med?
Yeah, you can. You totally can. So you can do it a couple of different ways. Honestly, you could probably get real creative and use it 3 times, really stack it up in there. But typically, for those of you who are newer to Face Reality, we do the Hydra Stack. So Hydra Balance before and after an exfoliating serum, and that would go on before Advanced Acne Med. This has been a question that's come up. I've never tried it myself, but in theory, you would totally be able to apply your Hydra Balance, apply your Advanced Acne Med, wait that 60 seconds for it to dry down, and then apply more Hydrobalance. Hydrobalance works best when it's sealed in with something because it is that water-based hydrator. So putting it on after Advanced Acne Med and being the last thing on, it probably won't retain as much as of the hydration as possible, but it's definitely something that wouldn't hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my biggest tip with that is just make sure sometimes, so when you're applying your Acne Med, you're usually pretty careful not to get it near your eyes. But sometimes when you go on to the next moisturizing step, you just out of habit, you're using it more generously around the face. And remember that you could potentially be moving that Acne Med around when you are putting a product on top of it. So just being aware of that, making sure you're not rubbing it up closer to your eyes when you're applying your moisturizer or your Hydro Balance.
That's an excellent point too, especially with something so water-based like
Mm-hmm.
Hydrobalance. It's going to liquidify a little bit of that acne med just as you're emulsifying.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just agree. Just be very careful around that eye area.
Yep. Okay, let's see. So Emma is asking about what I would recommend for subtype 2 rosacea. So I don't want to dive into that too much on here because we wanted to keep the conversation focused on acne. But remember that our estheticians are available right now on our live chat. If you click the little messaging button on the bottom right corner of your screen, you can reach out to them. And they're on call all the time. They're happy to jump into topics like rosacea.
You can definitely use 2.5% acne med for subtype 2 rosacea too if it's suitable.
There we go. Yeah.
Or
And
heal back to the conversation.
yeah. Yeah, to connect in our BPO. Yeah, so BPO, I know I do get that question too. BPO is safe to use on reactive rosacea types that get that flushing. Um, so it is something to note if you do have acne rosacea. Okay, so we've reached the. Oh, never mind. I had one more question. Okay, Sarah wants to know, where would you incorporate the peptide serum in your skincare routine?
Oh, great question. So for the antioxidant peptide serum, you'll use this following your exfoliating serum. So that'll be Mandelic, Salicylic Plus, the Retinol B3, whatever your exfoliating serum is, you'll just apply antioxidant peptide on top.
Okay. Have you ever tried doing the stack with the antioxidant peptide, or does it just seem like overkill?
I would say overkill just because it's going to be at a higher price point because it's a serum. But I
Mm-hmm.
would definitely, if you want to do any type of stacking, I would still incorporate the Hydra Balance into that too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that antioxidant peptide serum is lovely. If you guys out there have not felt it, It's like a gel cream serum. It's hard to describe, but it's a little thicker than what you'd usually think of as a serum, but it's not quite a cream. It's like a nice in-between, lovely velvety texture.
It's really one of those serums, like you put it, like for instance, I love to use it in my night routine too. You like wake up with a glow. It's just like
Hmm.
it's very good for overall skin health. So it helps to give you that glow back. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
One of the facts that I love for citing off is I was reading a study that was showing that acne prone skin actually has way less antioxidants naturally occurring in it than healthy skin that is not breaking out. So remember that you need those antioxidants, you need those nourishing ingredients to really support your skin and keep it healthy.
Yep, topically and internally.
Yep, 100%. Okay, let's see if I missed any questions. I don't think so. So I'd love to finish off today with asking you, what is your like can't live without face reality product?
Oh gosh.
That's a hard question, very hard.
Honestly, mine's is this is a hard one, but I just go back from traveling, so this is actually really helpful. Honestly, it's a simple one. It's Ultra Gentle Cleanser because especially when I'm traveling and speaking, I'm wearing more makeup, and there is just nothing that gets my makeup off like Ultra
Hmm.
Gentle Gel Cleanser. It is just amazing. It just does everything, and you feel like truly cleansed after, like it did a good job cleansing, but it's
Hmm.
not over stripping. It's a gel, so you get a nice foam, but it's not a stripping cleanser, so it doesn't leave you like super tight or dry anything after. I just cannot live without my Ultra Dental.
I know that is a staple for so many folks. I always have it in my shower. I kind of like
Yep.
jump around between. I like to have like an active cleanser with some acids in it that I'll use sometimes, but then you always have to have an ultra gentle cleanser in your cabinet at all times because you never know when your skin's going to get a little sensitive or a little dry, and it's just a
Honestly,
staple.
honestly, some hacks for that too. You can use Ultra Gentle Cleanser as a bubble bath. So while we were
Ooh.
in Las Vegas, feet for 20 hours a day, I was taking bubble baths with Ultra Gentle. We took our kids to a water park and we stayed a few nights. And I brought my Ultra Gentle Cleanser to use as full head to toe body wash for me and my kids. So honestly, you can use that thing
That's
anywhere.
amazing. Yeah, and it works as an amazing makeup brush cleaner.
Yes, you can do anything with it.
Yep, it's so versatile. It's great. Okay, so with that, no more questions rolled in. So we're going to wrap things up. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you're not watching live and you've got questions about this video, definitely head to our live chat. You can go during business hours, we're available live, or you can just shoot us an email, hello@artofskincare.com, and we can answer any questions that came up while you watch this video. All right. Well, thank you, Alex, so much for joining me on the show. I'm sure I'm going to see you again soon. I think in a couple months, we've got you scheduled to come back and talk about more fun topics. So I'll see you soon and enjoy your weekend.